16. Kaepernick sits on the bench during the national anthem of a exhibition game. Kind of a really kind of harmless situation for the most part. Nobody really notices it until a couple days later when there are some pictures that are circulated for, oops, that's not where I want to go. With him sitting on the bench during the exhibition. Nothing, really all that, not that big of a deal at this point. When he was questioned about it, he was asked, why would you sit during the national anthem? And he says, well, I'm protesting the oppression of Black people and people of color. And as I mentioned, originally really didn't attract that much attention. Of course, with, obviously social media going around and more and more coverage, the NFL kind of steps in. The NFL says the players are urged to stand during the national anthem, but are not required to stand for the anthem. Kaepernick starts to be criticized, for his disrespectful behavior in the eyes of some people. When he dishonored the flag, all that it stands for, he was criticized by the president, criticized by numerous, people from basically from the establishment. And that kind of kicks off a huge debate amongst not only, Kaepernick and the NFL, but the NFL players, the NFL Players Association, the NFL owners, and then society as a whole. People came from a lot of different angles on this in terms of whether he had the right to do it, whether it was disrespectful, and every place in between. I'm sure you guys were, still, probably middle school maybe when this happened. Ish, I think, maybe. Anyways, point is, you were probably aware of this going on when it happened.
Colin Kaepernick.
So he makes a transition from sitting to kneeling, and this was done after, and we watched this clip yesterday in class from a former NFL player, and that's kind of a stretch. He actually played in one exhibition game for Seattle, I believe. Never played in a regular season game, but the point is, he was an ex-NFL player, ex-Green Beret. Suggested Kaepernick that kneeling might be better than sitting, because kneeling is a sign of respect. You kneel, at church. You kneel for a fallen soldier. Even brought up the point that when you offer your, someone marriage, you kneel in front of them. It's kind of that show of respect. So Kaepernick decides that he's going to do that. Instead of sitting, and he also will donate $1 million to some of these organizations that are around. NFL commissioner says he doesn't necessarily agree with Kaepernick, but supports the players who seek change in society. MNL commissioner, as he says, he doesn't necessarily agree. He does support that. On the first regular season game, several players kneeled during the anthem. You can see the picture there. That was kind of the thing that people kind of joined in to support him, but also bring about that same type of respect and bringing attention to some of the issues that Kaepernick had mentioned. Kaepernick's career basically is over as a result of his stance in 2016. He opts out of his contract with the 49ers. Becomes a free agent, unrestricted free agent, but never gets an opportunity to sign another contract. Several workouts. It's kind of a cluster mess, his workouts were. They were kind of staged and not really necessarily, what you would think is to be a good workout. But as the 2017 season begins, NFL players continue to kneel. The owners actually approve a rule banning kneeling during the anthem. They do say the players have the option to stay in the locker room, but if you're going to be on the field, you need to stand. President Trump applauds this rule very soon after that, like days after it came about. The NFL owners retract that rule because of its decide. In other words, couldn't get enough people to agree on it. Like some people said, no, that's not the right thing to do. So it caused more problems than it really solved. As time goes on, sparked by the death of George Floyd, Commissioner Goodell apologizes to the players for not seeing their side of the story, not listening to them. He encourages them to protest peacefully and denounces racism. as a whole. As a matter of fact, if you watch games, still see some of it now, but for a while there was messages on the back of the NFL helmets. It would say "End racism," all kinds of different slogans that are pointed towards social justice for African Americans and people of color. And the league goes forward with a campaign. How can we improve and go forward better for a more unified NFL family? And so that kind of ends that.